Civil War, Ryan's adoptive great-great-grandfather, Nephi Johnson, was the first white man to brave the rugged Zion Canyon. After his arduous climb into the gorge, which descends a half-mile deep in spots, Johnson reported back that it looked like good farmland. Over the next half-century, the Mormons cultivated and grazed the 15-mile-long canyon, and a trickle of non-Mormon photographers and painters visited to document its beauty. The arches and chasms of Zion National Park are stacks of sandstone, shale, and volcanic rock, ablaze with deep reds and purples and brilliant whites. Blossoming wildflowers and ferns hang from seeping spring walls. Knotty pinyon pines and junipers cover the mountainsides, and Douglas firs tower above the high plateaus. The pictures and photos made their way back to Washington, D.C., and newly elected President William Howard Taft decided the canyon was too valuable to leave to a bunch of cows. In 1909, he declared the canyon a national monument. A decade later, the fledgling National Park Service designated more land and established Zion National Park. Park Service leaders were ambitious, driven by the alluring vision of a vast system of American national parks. Dixie ranchers who were used to open-range cattle ranching didn't much like the idea, fearing that grazing would be curtailed. Mormons generally believed the land was here to be used by them, not gawked at by visitors. The conflict over Zion Canyon is the story of the West. Look at a map of the United States that identifies federal land, and the disparity is clear. The eastern two-thirds of the country contains only sprinklings of federal property, mostly national forests. East of the Mississippi, the federal government controls only 4% of the land. A swath of the Appalachian Mountains, a chunk of Florida Everglades, patches of upper Wisconsin and Michigan. Moving west, the middle north/south stripe of the country, the so-called Corn Belt from the Dakotas to Texas, is nearly free of federal control. At the Rocky Mountains, everything changes. From Colorado to California, Washington to Arizona, the map is a swirl of national forests, national parks, national monuments, and millions of acres that lack those distinctions, but are managed by a federal agency. 47% of the West belongs to the federal government, regulated mostly by 4 agencies: the National Park Service, the Fish and Wildlife Service, the Forest Service, and the biggest landholder, the Bureau of Land Management. Every square foot of those western vistas is accounted for, part of an entangled system of federal, state, and private rights that dictate how the land is grazed and mined, how its vegetation is used, how its water is extracted and doled out. Nevada is the epicenter of this phenomenon. The federal government controls almost 80% of Nevada, the highest percentage of any state. From above, the delineation of western federal lands resembles the bands of a giant hurricane on a meteorological map, and Nevada is the swirling nucleus of the storm. Aside from a few splotches of privately owned land, the Las Vegas Valley and a serpentine strip following Interstate 80 as it heads from Reno towards Salt Lake City, the state is a near-solid block of federal land. The reason so much Western territory remained in federal hands is mainly because, for many years, nobody else wanted it. Throughout its history, the U.S. government bought or took land as it expanded westward. It also transferred land to states and individuals through homesteading and land grants. In the agriculture-friendly Midwest, settlers snapped up millions of 160 to 640-acre homesteads. But the 11 western states are marked by soaring mountains and arid desert, land where growing crops is impossible without massive irrigation. Settlers locked up the agricultural valleys, and the most beautiful and striking vistas were turned into national parks, including crown jewels like Yellowstone, Yosemite, the Grand Canyon, the Sierra Nevada, the Rockies. But vast stretches of the West were essentially